Like, obviously Mistborn, Final Empire is more like a more meteor. It was a weird way of putting that. Hello, welcome back to my channel. My name's Chella and this is Chella Reads a Bit. Today I'm going to be doing my best books of 2021 video. And it was actually pretty hard to try to decide what to add onto this list. A lot of the books I read this past year, 2021, was mostly 4s and 3s with very, very, very few 5. And I know that I need to be more ruthless in how I rate my books because I use Caught-Pile, which is by G from Book Roast. Love her. What an amazing channel, what an amazing person. But I digress. So I use that, but I have to say that I'm not as ruthless as I should be when I go to put in the numbers. So in the year of our Lord 2022, it is my time to be more ruthless with how I rate my books. So trying to figure out and make the lists of best and worst was a little hard, but I think I compiled a list of books that I enjoyed this past year, and they're in no particular order. So the first one I would say is Mistborn, or The Final Empire by Brandon Sanderson. So like I said, a lot of the books were between like 4 and 3, but ones on this list are more leaning towards 4 stars. This one I gave a high 4 because I loved the last like half or a little more than half of the rest, like the book, because it was such a struggle for me to get through the beginning part. I ended up having to get the audiobook to help me out, and after I did, it really sped up for me. And oh my god, the last bit of this book was amazing. Like, the characters, like what they went through, like how Brandon Sanderson wove together certain things, like how he, like what he did, like the twist. I was like, literally, I was there for it. I was totally there for it. Like, obviously in the beginning had a bit of an issue, so obviously I couldn't give it like a 5 stars, but once I got past that, oh my gosh. And obviously I assume everyone knows what this book is about. It's about Vin, who is living the life of like a thief, and then you also follow Kelsey. I assume you follow Kelsier too. They meet, and like it's their like trying to build this rebellion to take down the Lord Ruler. And like allomancy, which is like a magic system where they consume metals, and you can either soothe someone or make yourself stronger or whatever. It's interesting. And so Vin finds out certain things, and then it's her joining this rebellion, and it goes from there. No spoilers. So I enjoyed the last portion of this book. It was so good, and it made me I appreciate the whole book, even though I did struggle to pick it up and read the beginning. It was still really good, and it made me cry. I bawled my eyes out so hard, and I literally told my boyfriend, like, I can't believe Brandon Sanderson made me feel this. Like, I got so attached to certain characters, and it was so good. And yeah, I had problems with like Vin sometimes, and trying to figure out like certain motivations was also like sometimes a lot, but it really hit me. And I don't remember people saying that they cried, and I'm like, I can't possibly be the only one. I know I asked my sister and she said that she cried too. So, but for some reason I don't recall booktubers saying they did, but maybe they did and I just don't remember. But oh my god, definitely 4 out of 5 stars. Unfortunately, again, I had a little bit of a problem in the beginning, but it definitely, like, so it can be a 5, but it was so good. like, I would definitely recommend, and I can see why Brandon Sanderson is very beloved and why this series is beloved, and I can't wait to go into the next one. I did get the audiobooks for the next two because the audiobooks are kind of really good. For some reason, I really enjoy the audiobooks, and I'm really new to audiobooks, so I really, really enjoyed this book. And
that ending, oh my god, it still gets me.
But yeah, 4 out of 5 stars. One of my best books in 2021. Next is, I'm not gonna hold it up because it's gonna be The Keeper of the Lost Cities, which are the books back here. I'm just gonna put them as a whole, even though there are some in the series that I wouldn't say are my favorite or are the best, but I couldn't decide because it's been a bit since I finished them, and I can't recall which ones I was less into than others. But as a whole, the average was like 4 stars, so either way, the whole series is so good. For me, like, again, all these are all my opinions. You don't have to agree, you don't have to like these books. I'm not out here saying that they're like the best literature, that they're the best written, that they should win awards, blah blah blah. They're just what I enjoyed and made me happy in 2021. In the years, since 2020, we gotta find something to grab onto, and I'm grabbing on. And these books were one of them. And I remember hearing about them from a dash of Ashley. She was talking about these books, and I'm like, it kind of sounds really up my alley right now. I'm really getting into middle grade. I really need something lighter and not as too bogged down with serious stuff. Like obviously Mistborn, Final Empire is more like a more meteor. It was a weird way of putting that, but like more serious, not epic, but really more serious fantasy. So I needed something that was like more lighthearted that I could read, because these years have been tough, and I can't do it sometimes. So I picked them up. I got the box set of the first 5, and I'm like, okay, if I enjoy them and I get through them pretty fast, I'm gonna buy the rest of them and read them. And I did, and I read them back to back to back. I just didn't want to stop, and then I was sad when I had to stop. But as a whole, 4 stars. Really enjoyed it. It's about Sophie, who is a telepath. She lives in the human world. I think it's either San Francisco or San Diego. Can't remember which one. She is a gifted student, so she's actually in a higher grade. She's like in high school, and she's supposed to be like in middle school, I believe. And so she doesn't know why she has this ability or anything, and then one day on a field trip she runs into Fitz. Fitz is like, oh, we're looking for you. He ends up taking her back to where he's from. A whole world opens up for her because she finds out certain things about herself that she didn't know. She finds out that she is more than what she thought, and like a lot happens after that, and that's like the bare bones that I can give you without spoiling anything. And I'm really bad at explaining synopses, whatever. I'm really bad at it, so I'm doing my best. But that's essentially where it starts, and it's her navigating this new life. And it like hit the spot. It was so kind of lighthearted, but also has like serious things woven in, sad moments. The characters, like how they reacted to this, and like how things progress for her. It was so good. Yeah, Sophie can get annoying as the series goes on, but she's also younger than I am, clearly. But it's amazing seeing where it's going, and you're like wondering where it's going. So I really enjoyed that. I really ate it up, went book after book after book after book, and I haven't done that in a long time, so really hit the spot. I love all the characters for the most part. I love Keith Keith Sensen, he's amazing. I think he's hilarious. I think that he is one of the best parts of the book series. There's just so much about him that like adds a lot. Like he is a developed character who also is a troublemaker, a jokester, whatever. He just adds so much. His story in this is not like he has it rough, but he's still the light part of the book. It's just amazing. So I enjoy all of the characters for the most part. Like Biana, which is Fitz's sister, she is fierce. She doesn't back down. She takes what she wants. You know, I love her. Like all these characters are great. The only character that I could do without, well, not do without because I see his purpose, is Fitz. I just think he is just, you can take a, you know, cutout, put Fitz on there, and then that's it. Because he doesn't add anything. His whole personality is also being a telepath who thought he wants to be the best. He thinks he's the best, and then someone else is better than him, so he doesn't like, he's happy, but he's not. He uses a certain thing so often, like that's his whole personality trait. His whole thing is he has a good looking face, he has an accent, and he has a popular, like not a popular, but a well-known last name, very kind of royal last name. And I'm like, this is all that he has, while Keith and like everyone else like has something else that makes them. That's it. Like he's just this thing. I just think he's one-dimensional. I call him Wonder Bread because he's just like you take a bite of a white piece of bread. There just is not a lot. There's no taste. You just get what you get. And I'm sorry, he makes me upset sometimes, especially his reasoning for things, and I understand he's younger, but he can't handle certain things, and I'm like, boy, you need to stop being a prick. Because how he treats people when he's upset is kind of messed up. And he just doesn't add anything to me, and I just think I see his purpose and what he's there to move along, but other than that, I don't really care for Fitz. Which I went off on a long tangent over Fitz for no reason, but that is what it is. Anyways, so Keeper of the Lost Cities as a whole would say best books of 2021 again. Not saying best literature, but for me, it hit the spot. Which helps me move into the next one, which in the same vein is the 8.5, which is just the first part is like a collection of different information, like on the city, the counselors, the school, blah blah, even food, clothing. It's fun stuff, like information about the characters, and it's just, I found it really fun to read. And then the last part is the novella, which was like a 200-something page novella, and it was just so precious to read. I enjoyed it. I had such a good time. Like it made me miss reading it, so it makes me want to reread the books. So obviously that's what I'm gonna do before the next one comes out, which hopefully it will still be November, even though I wish it was earlier. But this was like so much fun to read. It also was special because my boyfriend got this for my birthday because I wanted the exclusive Barnes & Noble edition because it is beautiful. Like, come on. This is beautiful. Like, it's so good. Like, and I even had a few tears at the end of that novella because it takes place right after the events of the last one, so it's just a continuation, but she just didn't want to have it. She was going to have it as the beginning of the next book, but then she usually just does the stories in Sophie's perspective. So for this, she wanted to add a different perspective because it was important, but she didn't want that as like in her normal novels, because that's not how she does it. So she decided to do it as a novella. And I think that was smart because, oh my god, I loved that other perspective. It was so good. So I actually gave this 5 stars. Even though it's not a full novel, I think my enjoyment beat out any reasoning for me not to rate it that 5 stars. I loved it. Best book. Next is Get a Life, Chloe Brown. So I'm not much of a romance reader. I try to dabble here and there, but for the most part, that's just not the genre that I pick up. I do like romance in books, but I don't read a lot of contemporary in the first place, but I don't also read contemporary romance. But this one has been hyped. I know Talia Hibbert's name is, out and about all the time, and I'm happy to say I'm glad. Like, I think Talia Hibbert needs a lot more praise because that book was really good. I really enjoyed it. I gave it a 4 stars. Couldn't give it a full 5 because it's just not my kind of, it's not really my genre. So there's some things that I don't exactly enjoy as much as maybe other people, but I loved it. Like, Chloe, like, getting to understand her chronic illness, like what she's going through, and like why she does the things she does. Watching her get closer to Red was just, it was so sweet and also touching and heartbreaking at times, because it's sad seeing her go through these things. Obviously, I think almost everyone knows what Get a Life, Chloe Brown is. Chloe has this chronic illness that I think she almost, I forget, it's been a while since I read it, but I think she almost dies, and so she decides she needs to get a life. Like, she needs to live. So, her family is wealthy, and so she moves into her own place. She has her own job that she does that works well with how she can't, like, she's very limited because of her illness. And then she had this, interaction that she has with Red, who is what do they call them? Not super, like, I forget, but he works in the apartment building that she rents. And their whole thing starts because she gets him to help her do certain things to cross off, to live, like, so she can say that she got a life. Like, I might not be explaining that very well, but that's essentially it. And I think it was really cute. It was exactly what I wanted because I don't reach for romance often, and when I do, that really hit the spot. Like, their dynamic was just interesting to see bloom and blossom, and I really enjoyed it. And Talia Hibbert's writing is really easy to get through. Like, she really hooked me. She really had me caring for these characters and had me wanting to see them succeed. And I love Chloe as, like, a person and as a character. I love her family. I'm excited to read the next 2. I don't have them, but the one I'm really, really excited to read is Act Your Age, Eve Brown, because I feel like that one I would probably connect to more, but I want to read them in the order in which they came out. But I just love Talia Hibbert's writing. Her characters are great. I just think it's amazing. High 4 stars. Loved it. Another one I do not have, but I heard about this from, I had seen it around, but I know Jess Owens raved about this book, and I'm like, it was like during the Magical Readathon that G was doing, like, G started, which is also amazing. One of the prompts was something about, like, supernatural or paranormal or something. And so I had initially had a different book for that. But then Jess kept talking about this book, and I'm like, I just want to read this. And that was Amari and the Night Brothers. I can see why Jess talked about this so much. She champions this book, and I understand why. I get it. It is amazing. I think B.B. Austin's writing is so great, and it's such a good book. They really make you care about the character and really see what they're going through and really experience it as they are experiencing it, and the magic and just the intrigue. Like, the twist was like, I mean, I saw it coming, but I still enjoyed it, if that makes sense. So I think it's amazing. Amari and the Night Brothers, if you don't already know, is about a girl whose brother goes missing, and she wants to find him, and then all of a sudden a briefcase shows up from her brother to invite her to the, I don't want to say secret organization because that's not it, but to what he was doing, and then it all goes from there. It was so interesting seeing how the abilities all worked out, and like her coming to terms and like trying to find her brother and like figure out what was going on, and like getting the truth about certain things. It was so good. And it also broke my heart to watch her struggle with how people treat her. Like, initially she's going to like this private school, and it's a predominantly white school, and she's black, and like how they treat her, which is disgusting but accurate, because good old US of A. Not saying that it only happens here, but that's where it is based. And then like just watching her go through all these things and how she just remains strong, which is kind of sad. This young girl who can't help certain things is being beaten down and is still staying strong when she shouldn't have to in the first place. Like, it's so annoying that the concept that she should have to be strong, but it's amazing seeing how strong she is, and she just continues to show that when she gets to this other place, and like she gets knocked down, she gets right back up, she moves forward, she kicks butt, and I think that's amazing. And I think thank you, B.B. Austin, because this is a beautiful book. Like, I enjoyed it. I really, really enjoyed it, and I appreciate it for just, I think everybody should read it. It's so good. It's a good high 4 stars. Like, I totally recommend it. And last but not least, so my best book of 2021. I wouldn't even say it's just one book, but I'm just using one book. So if there's one thing that everyone I know who I'm close to knows about me, is there's 2 anime that I love. And that is Naruto and Fruits Basket. I've loved them for so many years, since I was really young. Not really young, but young. So I didn't read the manga for either of those. It was mostly just the anime. So I was like, so me and my boyfriend last year, 2021, I rewatched and he watched with me the original anime of Fruits Basket, not the reboot. I haven't watched that fully. I had started watching it when it first came out, the first season, and just kind of fell off because I wasn't ready to watch it. So I wanted to rewatch the original. I cried I love this anime so much, and I cried, like I always cry for 3 episodes straight at the last 3. That's how much. Oh my god, so good. But I never read the manga, and I have all the collector's editions. So I was like, you know what? I'm gonna start reading them before I watch the reboot. So I started reading them, and it is 5 stars. I love this. I just love this story. And the manga has so much more than the original anime has. The original is only 1 season, and it only encompasses a certain portion of the manga. So in the manga, you'll get to a certain point and be like, okay, that's like where certain things end in the original, and you're like, but there's still a lot more. That's because there's a lot more that happens in this, which is the reboot is more faithful to the manga than obviously the original. The original was more lighthearted and stuff like that, but the manga itself is actually kind of sinister. It has sinister moments with like these cute parts. The original is great, and I still love it, and it's still one of my favorites, and that will never change. But the manga does add a lot more, and it's more sinister, and it really puts things together that you don't get within the original. And I know that even I read the descriptions and stuff for the reboot, and they do kind of it is faithful to the manga as far as I can tell. The only thing is it is in a different kind of order. Like they do things not in the chronological order that it does in the manga, which is fine. But I got to like the 5th or 6th one of this so far, and oh my god, I love it. Makes me happy, makes me smile. I love the characters. They're all amazing. My favorite is Kyo. I'm a big Kyo fan. The story is about Toru, who loses her mom in an accident, so she has nowhere to live. So she is living in a tent, and then she stumbles upon the Somas, and then it all happens from there. I don't want to go into too much because technically everything is a spoiler, because I just think it's good to go, and it's like, it's cute, but there is sinister things within it. And I love the characters. Toru is such a cinnamon roll or a rice ball, because, you know, a rice ball doesn't belong in a fruits basket. But, you know, I love that. It is so good. So Toru is so sweet. I love her friends, Hana and Uo. Like, all the characters are amazing. My favorite, of course, is Kyo. I'm a huge Kyo stan. So I like Yuki, who's the other male main character. I do like him. He's just not as good to me as Kyo. I just think that he's just a little more bland than Kyo is. In my opinion, Kyo is amazing. To the point where I have 4 fruits basket blankets, all because I love Kyo. My sister for Christmas got me a fruits basket hoodie. I have a Kyo like kind of hoodie with the ears. I even have these notebooks. I have one here that has all the characters in chibi form, and then I have this Kyo notebook because, you know.
And I mean, I just love it. I just love him. I just love him.
That's all I got to say. Fruits basket, amazing. 5 out of 5 stars. I know it's a manga, but I don't care. I love the story. I love the characters. I love how it is in the manga. It just, I know there's obviously going to be translation problems, but it is amazing, and I recommend it. And I'm glad people are starting to get into this, because it's been like, obviously I'm just getting into the manga, but even just getting into the show and just the fruits basket universe makes me happy. Just makes me so happy. And those were all of my best books of 2021. I'm happy with what I read, and these really made me happy. Well, Fire Empire made me sad, but these are all good books to me, and I recommend them. I hope you enjoyed, and I'll see you in my next one. Bye.